expert in every area.
Hi, Elizabeth. Sorry. So, Elizabeth, you've had problems with with law recently, and successfully defended against the prosecution. Can you just talk about your case?
Yeah, that's right. On December the 3rd, my friend and I were out in town, and we were in a pub, and both were assaulted by a bouncer. And so my friend rang 999 for assistance, for the police to come and assist us. And we ended up both getting arrested and spending the night in prison for ringing the police.
And you got arrested. You was in it's Nottingham, right? And you got arrested for drunk and disorderly, yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But what was the precursor to? And you called the police to say what?
We'd entered a club, and then the bouncer had gone up to my friend and just pushed her. And she nearly fell over. So I went up to him and I was like, what are you doing? And he just grabbed me. He was really volatile and violent. And so I sort of hung on to a table as he was dragging me out and said, "Can somebody help me? This man's assaulting me."
Was it just one bouncer or was it multiple?
It's just one bouncer, yeah.
And where was your friend while you were being pulled?
She was like shouting at the bouncer, saying, get off her.
Yeah.
Basically. And
did he actually ask you to leave?
He'd not asked us to leave at all.
Right.
And that's what he said to the police. That he had asked us to leave, but he definitely hadn't.
But it'd be fair to say, though, even if he did ask you for leave, he couldn't manhandle you like the way he did, right?
Absolutely, because what we've heard since is people saying reasonable force, this, that, and the other. And we weren't drunk. We're not aggressive. We're both grandmothers. And if he'd have asked us to leave, we would have left. Very peacefully.
Just one second, Elizabeth. Reasonable force. What have you heard in terms of reasonable force in relation to a bouncer? Because basically they're there. They cannot apply any force to you whatsoever.
Yeah, that's what I've discovered now. Reading about it and learning about it is actually reasonable force is only ever allowed in defence, isn't it? I think
exactly right. Yes, so, precisely.
Yeah, but that's the buzz line that they all use and the police use to try and defend themselves, which is wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this guy was dragging me out, and I'd grabbed onto the table just to keep myself upright because he'd nearly knocked my friend over. My friend's 5'3". He's 6 foot, over 6 foot, because I'm 6 foot, and he was taller than me, and built like a brick proverbial.
Yeah.
And anyway, he was dragging me, so I grabbed onto the table, and he was trying to prise my fingers off this table, and I'm just still saying to people, please help me, this man's assaulting me. He'd got hold of my left arm really tightly. And anyway, he couldn't manage to prise my fingers off, so he got my left arm, and he yanked it so hard that it pulled the table over.
But at no point he didn't explain what he was actually doing, apart from he just grabbed you.
No, yep.
Yeah.
And so I grabbed onto the next table, did exactly the same thing. He was trying to prise my other hand off, which ended up being covered in bruises. He did again the same thing. He couldn't get my fingers off, so he yanked me again so hard. By this time, I'm nearly out the door, and then he pushed me out the door, and I fell on the floor. Now I'm outside of the building. And
are you're a mother? What is it you do for a living, or?
I used to be a midwife. I'm a maternity nurse, so I look after newborn babies.
Right.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So you're a good character, basically.
Yeah. I won Women of Influence Award for Nottingham as well last year for my charitable services. I'm not an aggressive, drunk person. Me and my friend were just out for a nice girls' night, and that was it, really. So,
yeah, for you, between you and your friend, is it D?
Yeah, Dina.
Dina, sorry, I apologise.
Yeah.
And so basically, you end up outside. Dina's obviously extremely upset.
She's really upset, so she ends up ringing 999.
Yeah.
Because nobody in the club had helped us.
Yeah.
And
you obviously, she was calling him because you had a grievance.
Well, yeah, because, she was so shocked at how, like I said, this man got so violent so quickly, so volatile, really. And he was assaulted me. He'd made my other hand bleed, the hand that he was grabbing on with. He dug his nail into me, and I still have a scar on that hand now from where he dug his nail in.
Right.
And brought blood. And I was bruised all on the other side. And luckily I had a really thick coat on, so where he was dragging me and holding me on my left arm, that would have been bruised if I'd have been wearing a skimpy outfit. But I think if I'd been wearing a skimpy outfit, none of this would have happened. I just think we were wearing the wrong clothes.
Yeah. But you're saying the bouncer was the one that first barged into Dee.
Yeah.
He was the one that started this all off. You guys were just peacefully drinking your drinks at the bar.
We'd only just got to the bar. Literally, we'd walked in.
And you weren't even there that long?
Yeah, exactly. Apparently, though, what he said in his defence after we read it, he'd said we weren't allowed in, but nobody was on the door. We just walked in. And then apparently he'd said to Dee at the bar, I didn't say you could come in.
And were you at the venue before this evening or not, or what?
No, I mean, it's not a place I've ever been to before anyway.
Right, so they didn't know you, so you weren't there before.
No.
And he actually said in his witness statement you weren't allowed in.
That's what he said. He said to Dee that I didn't say you could come in, and that's why he pushed her.
So he's the authority. I mean, so he can discriminate against anybody, regardless.
Well, yeah, that's what it seems like. But,
right. Okay, sorry, so I apologise. So basically, Dee calls the police turn up.
Yeah, and we're trying to say to the police, look, this man's assaulted us both, pushed Dina, and he's dragged me. Look, I was showing them my hand, it was bleeding, and the bruises were already coming up on my other hand.
Right. Did you get medical attention?
Pardon?
Did you get medical attention?
No.
Right.
Basically, they just said, I had a word with the bouncer, said, we're going to look at the CCTV.
Yeah.
Then they came back out and said, you're pulling tables over.
Yeah.
And
it's a criminal offence to pull tables over, is it?
Yeah, it's just so we were, we were being naughty. And obviously when I was sat on the floor, and the bouncer was trying to, this was before the police came, I was sat on the floor holding on to one of those metal rails.
Yeah, which is, I think is a great idea.
And I just said, I'm waiting for the police to come.
Yeah.
And when they came, I stood up.
Yeah.
The police just saw me sitting on the floor. They go in, look at the CCTV, say I'm pulling tables down, and automatically assume that, well, they took his side of the story.
But how did Dee end up getting arrested first? I know you got arrested second, but how did she get arrested?
She was, because they weren't listening to us, they would not listen to our side of the story. They wouldn't listen to the fact that he pulled the tables down because he pulled me so hard, nearly dislocating my arm in the process. And they were doing nothing about it.
You were trying to secure your position in terms of, you're a woman.
Getting something done, that this man is just volatile and assaulted two women
in the
public.
Sounds terrible.
And so Dee got so frustrated and she swore at the police. She's like, I can't effing believe you're not going to effing do anything about this. And apparently she got 7 warnings for swearing. Yeah. Which, anyway, I don't think she got 7 warnings, but that's what they said.
Yeah.
And
but
so
she has a right to appeal,
got arrested.
She has a right. She has a fair right to appeal against. She's the complaining party.
Yeah.
And the police should have dealt with it.
Exactly, and that's what she said. She said, we've rang 999, not the bouncer. We've rang 999, so you have a duty to listen to our side of the story. But no, they didn't. They were absolutely not interested in any way, shape or form.
And they didn't deal with the issue by the sounds of it. From obviously, you've had access to CCTV now as well.
Yeah,
they didn't deal with the issue, the fact that he was actually grabbing you and pulling you and shoving you.
Yeah, and on the CCTV that they gave us, which was just from outside, not in the club, they would not provide the evidence from inside the club.
We know why that is. We'll talk about that shortly,
Yeah, it actually shows him shoving Dina as well, which they forgot to edit that bit out, but that's another story. So she got arrested, and then obviously I was absolutely completely distressed that, my friend's been arrested, I was left on my own, and And then, so they decided to arrest me too.
And they arrested you because you were appealing against her arrest?
Absolutely. So, yeah.
Okay, so moving on, you get arrested, spend the night in the cell. How long did you spend in the cells?
Well, we got there about 1:20 in the morning, and we were released at 9 a.m.
9 a.m. And you got interviewed, right?
Nope.
No interview. You just got charged.
They tried to charge us, and I wasn't even allowed a phone call either until 4 a.m. When the female sergeant said she gave in and decided to give me a phone call.
She gave in. That's very nice.
Yeah, she just refused to give me one as soon as we got there. I said, I need to ring my husband. I need to let him know where I am, and she says no. So he was obviously worried sick, not knowing where I was.
I can imagine.
So.
But you were never interviewed.
Never interviewed.
And were you charged?
They said they wanted to charge us with drunk and disorderly, and we said we're not accepting the charges. Okay. I wasn't drunk or disorderly.
I didn't know that, actually. I assumed you got charged. Sorry, I apologise.
Well, they said, and I said, I don't accept the charges. And they said, well, you're going to have to pay this fine. I said, well, we're not paying a fine because I wasn't drunk or disorderly.
Yeah.
And this sort of went on, and this is why we got chucked in the cells, because we weren't playing ball.
Yeah.
And then I think they said
was that at 4 o'clock or whatever? Or?
Pardon?
Was that at 4 a.m. or was that later?
No. This as soon as we got in there, they were, they ask you.
Oh, so they wanted to give you the ticket. I mean, if you're drunk and disorderly, surely they can't give you a ticket while you're drunk anyway.
Well, I suppose because this has never happened to me before.
Yeah,
so
they can't do
really
that.
New.
They can't do that. No.
Yeah.
So okay,
well, they wanted
anyway,
to fine us. I think it was £80, and I said I'm not paying £80. Yeah, for getting assaulted.
But they actually attempted to do that at the point in the custody suite.
Yeah, in the custody suite, that's it, isn't it?
And they call it a suite, but it's definitely not a suite.
Yeah, it's not a suite.
But they actually attempted to do that at that stage.
Right, okay.
Did they? No, I'm asking you.
Yeah, that's what they tried to do, and we said no.
So you were drunk and intoxicated, unable to even articulate what they're saying because you're drunk and intoxicated, yet they want to issue you paperwork, which has consequences. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And you were that, you obviously clearly not in that position because you were clearly able to articulate yourself to explain that you're neither of those both.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well done. Well done, you.
Yeah.
Well done.
And they tried to threaten you. It's like, well, if you're not going to pay this fine or go on this course, then you're going to have to go
on a course.
Well, of course, that's fine. And then I was saying, I want to report this man assaulted me. He says, well, you can't do that.
Yeah.
He said, you have to take that up with the club. I was like, what? Because we weren't playing ball, that's it. Throw us in the cell.
So just get this right though, right? Even though you're being charged with being drunk and disorderly, it probably took all of 20 minutes maximum to get into the custody area in front of the custody sergeant. They're asking you to accept a ticket.
Yeah.
How disgusting is that? Anyway, moving on. You spent the night in the cell till 9 o'clock. Yeah. You got released and got charged with drunk and disorderly, right?
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah.
Then somehow, and I don't know how, Elizabeth, you'll have to help me out here, you got in contact with me. Was that right? Or you got in contact with a number of people, or what? How did it work?
I've got a friend called Henry, and he said, I know of this man called Bradley. I don't really know him, but I know of him, and I know he helps people.
Yeah.
Because, he's really knowledgeable about this sort of stuff. It might be worth getting in touch with him, and I can't remember if I got in touch with you first or...
No, you contacted me, definitely. Yeah.
Right, okay. Yeah. And that's how that happened, so that was all a bit serendipitous. So, yeah, and...
Yeah. So basically, from my recollection, because I deal with so many cases, it's kind of hard, but the reason why I'm so interested in talking to you, Elizabeth, is basically what intrigues me about you is how quick you were able to pick up what I was saying that you should do. Yeah. And obviously, we know the outcome. The outcome was good. Now, the outcome was good in terms of they left you alone. Yeah. Now, it's still obviously sad what happened because it was wrong.
Yeah.
But what I'd like to really impress on people who may listen to this is basically say, I want you to try and demonstrate what I said to you to do. Which, to be honest, we spent minutes on the phone with each other,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you picked up like an ace. And
Ooh.
and you were, the thing that impressed me is that you were very nervous.
Yeah, I'm
And
really nervous.
and
Really.
and luckily it went pretty much verbatim to what I said was going to happen anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what sort of gave us the confidence. And I think, when we spoke to you, you were really quite concise. You didn't muddy the waters with too much information. And I think that's what really helped us, is you just said, this is what's going to happen. They're going to say this. You just say this. Stick to your guns. So you didn't make it complicated.
Okay. So let's go back one step then. So, because we jumped ahead a little bit, I was just trying to articulate about how we spoke. So we don't know each other. We've never met. And it was purely through. What did you say the guy was called? Henry.
Henry.
Yeah. Henry. So basically, you contacted me. We had a quick chat. I didn't know the entire facts of the case, nor did I desire to know the entire facts of the case.
Yeah.
But what I explained and I want to leave this bit to you. If you can explain in your words, because it's going to be better than me talking, is what happened when you start so let's take it from this point, from the point where you told me about the charge sheet, and I said, this is the letter you need to write.
Yeah.
Talk through that. And I'm going to leave you, and that's going to get us to the end of the video, and then we can just have a quick conclusion on it. So I'm going to leave this entirely to you.
I missed bits out though. But basically, after I spoke to you, you said you need to send them this certain letter, which was asking the CPS, which is the Crown Prosecution Service, to provide all the evidence that they had against us. But actually, going back to that, I think what helped is when you explained that when we first went into the court, it was only going to be a hearing, which I didn't realise. And so you said what you have to do is fill in this paperwork, which I think is preparation for effective trial. And you explained that not a lot of people have this paperwork, even if they have a solicitor. And I just reiterate to people, we didn't have a solicitor. Because of your help, we were representing ourselves. And you explained that after we'd been into the hearing, not to plea, but they would expect us to either.
Let's just correct that. I never said not to plea. I said you can't plea because lack of disclosure. Because what we did do initially is sent a letter asking for 3 questions. One was that any and all witnesses they seek to align to be present.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
That's number 1. And you require all prima facie evidence as a litigant in person to be disclosed.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
And there was quite a lot of evidence that that supported us, and that was the CCTV from inside, the audio 999, lots of things. So
basically, on that point, just for anybody that's listening, is the prosecution, even though that could be evidence against the prosecution, they should disclose it.
Yeah.
And obviously in your case they didn't either anyway. But carry on. Sorry, Elizabeth.
Yeah. So we went in to the hearing, and so they said, "How do you plea?" And we said, "Well, we can't plea." And previously they'd said to us, "You actually do need to plea. You have to," and we said we don't. And then we got in front of the magistrates, and they were all there was the prosecution, and then there was the office clerk or clerk, and then there were the magistrates. And the clerk was saying, and how do you plea? Or one of them was saying that, and we said, we can't plea. We don't have all the evidence. And they said, you have to plea. And luckily we'd spoken to you, and you'd said that this is what they say, and so we just said, we've given you our response, we can't plea. We need all the evidence, it's not been provided. And at that stage, he got really pissed off because we weren't playing ball, because we weren't part of the ka-ching, ka-ching.
And did you remain confident during that period still?
Absolutely, because I think the day before, what we'd done is we'd just gone into court and just sat and watched in the public gallery, and we saw with our own eyes how what a conveyor belt of
crap
money, crap, and it's just, and I just thought, we're not going to be pressured by or intimidated by these people, because
and just on that point though, it is as well. Have you ever been caught before?
Court?
Have you ever been to court before?
No, never.
So this is
only
your
only
first
as a witness
experience in court,
as a witness,
and basically you obviously we know the outcome, but you dealt with it in this fashion. So people listening to this, say for example, that could be very weak or meek or whatever you want to call it, should not be scared of going to court, because that's my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely not. Because I think when you realise that it's a bit of a pantomime, really, and that's how I viewed it. And so we dressed up. We were part of the pantomime, but we had, I don't know, we just had all the confidence. We just knew that they were trying to get money out of us.
So basically, they were trying to make us a plea. Go on, carry on from there.
Yeah, they were trying to make us plea, and so we said, look, no, we're not going to plea. And so the magistrate then said, okay, we have to put in a not guilty plea for you.
Which we discussed about already, yeah.
Yeah, and so that now we have to set a trial date. So we were fine, and then that's when we handed out the paperwork that you told us to fill in, which is the preparation for effective trial. And they were gobsmacked that we'd got that paperwork.
yeah. And we also asked, and I'm not, correct me if I'm mistaken, I also said you need to make sure they commit to when they're going to give disclosure.
Absolutely, yeah, you did say that to us. We had a list of questions, and that was one of them, to say, we need to...
But it was only a couple of questions, wasn't it?
Yeah, just make sure you find out who the prosecution was, which was really important, actually, in our case, because it turned out she messed about with our paperwork, and if we hadn't had her name, the things that happened after that, I don't think we'd have, so it was definitely worth getting her name. So that's really important.
On that point, so you basically asked them the disclosure, and they agreed. I think it was 21 days, wasn't it, from memory?
I can't remember how many days, but they gave us the date of the 20th of January. It was
definitely within a month anyway. Normally it's 21 or 28 days.
Yeah. And so we'd listed on our paperwork that all the evidence that we required, and like you said, it was the witness, so the bouncer, the police officers, the CCTV, the 9. They were like, oh my God, when they read it, they're like, and they just got really angry with us.
Yeah, because basically you wanted everything for and against you.
Yeah, and we were trying to have justice, and they were getting cross with us because we wanted justice. It's like, really? And that's when you know what a farce it really is, and it just built our confidence then, because you see with your own eyes how, crazy the system is.
So basically you handed them that. They committed to disclosure, and then when basically, obviously, we spoke after your court hearing, and it went pretty much as I said it would. Yeah,
it went textbook.
Yeah,
absolutely textbook. But you did say to get that paperwork back signed that day,
and they wouldn't do it, would they?
They wouldn't. No,
yeah.
They was like, you've wasted too much of our time already. And I mean, we asked a few times, but they were having absolutely none of it. We'd actually really pissed them off by this stage.
But to be fair, nothing you asked for was unreasonable.
It wasn't unreasonable.
It's stuff they should have done already.
Yeah.
The problem is you were ahead of the game.
Yeah. So I think they were just in a bit of shock. It's not what they're used to. They're used to the conveyor belt of, yes, sir, no, sir, we'll pay you all our money, sir.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. So basically, what happened next then? So they failed on disclosure, didn't they?
They failed on disclosure. So the date of the 20th of January came and went. So we had another chat, and you explained that we could
get a mention
go to court and get a mention hearing, which basically is going in front of a judge or the magistrates to say the CPS have failed on this.
Yeah, I can't recall what happened then, actually. What actually happened in that hearing?
Well, basically, we got it's another fuck up. Basically, we got the mention hearing and for like 10 a.m. and we got there, and they said, "Oh no, you've not been listed." Anyway, long story, but anyway, we ended up staying there all day. It got to 5 o'clock.
Oh gosh!
In the evening, and we're still sat there, and then the judge did see us, and we were there till like 6:30. But we'd already had a chat with a guy from the CPS, and he was shitting himself because he was like, "Oh my gosh, we've got no evidence. I need some evidence." But he was so funny because he kept looking at the clock, thinking as soon as it gets to 5, this is going to go, and I can go home. Anyway, he got to 5, and he just went, "Yes, we'll see you two now," and you could see him like crumpling into himself because he got a real bad bollocking off the judge for not, providing any evidence. So they found this DVD of us outside the, outside the establishment on the night in question. Not any of it.
You don't even dispute you're there. You don't dispute any of it.
No, absolutely. And so they gave us this and said, "Oh well," and the judge said, "You need to have the rest of it by, I think it was the 9th of February."
Yeah.
And yeah, so we were like, okay then.
So basically, the judge gave them relief.
Yes, but he didn't set the trial date back at all. We did ask, but he didn't.
to the 9th of February again, as they normally do.
Yeah.
So he got further relief. So what happened next?
Then I think that date came and went as well. That was funny. And so I wrote to the head of the CPS, basically saying, "I've come straight to you because I've been writing to the CPS, asking for this. We've provided our evidence," because I sent photos in of my GP report.
Yeah, the best of your ability. You provide everything you possibly can, yeah?
Yeah, and CPS still haven't provided their, I've written basically to your minions and been ignored, so I'm coming straight to you. And then we got a letter back within 2 days saying, "Oh, we've received your complaint," although it wasn't a complaint, because in that letter I also said, "Can you just please drop this, because there is no evidence, and the only evidence that we've seen blatantly shows the bouncer pushing Dina outside, and the fact that I'm not drunk." And some of the police statements, what the police said in their statement happened, obviously didn't, so they're lying, or, have filled in their statement wrong, and then...
So basically what you did, though, was just question everything that they
absolutely
possibly
everything
could have submitted, which is what we discussed about. It's just tasking them on it, without being too clever, keep it very brief.
Yeah, like you said, just write the facts. And the facts were, they were all in the wrong, and they got no evidence against us in any way, shape,
actually,
or
we never said that. We never said that. We never said they never had any evidence. We said, please
provide it.
Please give us the evidence so that you can make a decision against the matter. And in fact, you were the aggrieved party, not the actual person who made the complaint. Yeah. So basically, what happened next?
So then, we got a letter then. No, that was right. We got a letter. It was after the 9th of February, but it was dated on the 9th of February. So this is the second time that they should have provided all the evidence. Basically saying, your case has been dropped. For me, it was
you were disappointed.
Lack of evidence.
I know you were disappointed.
I was...
But I told you, don't be disappointed.
I wouldn't have been bothered if it had gone to trial.
Yeah.
Because I just thought, it would have been an arse to go to trial, but I knew we were in the right. Yeah. But no, I was actually really relieved because the date of trial was my date of my new job that I started. But you just say my charge got dropped because of lack of evidence, and Dina's was dropped because it wasn't in the public interest. Really?
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah.
I just remember you emailing me saying you're so disappointed, and I said to you it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Just get these fuckers off your back.
But I'm really glad that it didn't go. But I just thought, if you go to trial, you get more experience, because I think that's what I've got from this. I've got so much experience, so much confidence, and I'll be able to help other people now.
Well,
and I think
that's the thing.
I
think you've actually... I've diverted a couple of people to you, Elizabeth. And I think you've helped them as well.
Yeah, yeah. And that's what I mean. I think it's sometimes, especially with the law, it's so complicated, I think, for that reason, to baffle people and scare people.
It's a fucking maze.
But I think, what you did is just give us the information in snippets when we needed it.
Well, the thing is, what I don't like to do is distract people. So what I try to do is say, like in your case, is say, Elizabeth, focus on this for now.
Yes.
And then we'll move to the next stage. And that's exactly what we did. I said, we'll speak again in a couple of weeks. Or whatever it was. I can't remember precisely, but whatever that period was. Because there's no point us just debating it all. I told you what you should do.
Yeah.
And then we'll move to the next phase.
Yeah, and that's what really worked well.
And do you know what really I loved about working with you on this one, Elizabeth, is the fact that you followed it to a T.
Yeah, yeah.
And I enjoyed that bit. And I tell you what, you gave me a lot of confidence in me referring you, and I apologise if I've done it too often, for you to help other people, because that's all I'm looking for. As you know, I never charged you a penny for any of your advice. All I did was help you through that process.
Yeah.
And I want other people to be able to do that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I learn best by doing things. I don't learn by someone telling me. I don't learn by reading. I learn by doing it. So the fact that we did it, and that's why part of me is disappointed by not going to trial, because you learn more. But although I am, because as soon as we were on holiday, actually, and because Dee lives with us, and she got the letter, and she rang me on holiday, and I'm like, yeah. And it did feel like a massive weight being lifted off my shoulder, because the time and the effort, these letters that we've been writing, it takes time to try and make them sound professional, and it is a worry. Even though I felt confident and we were in the right, it's still a massive stress to have to go through and to fight for justice.
Did I not provide you the letters to write though? I thought I did actually. I don't know if I did.
Basically you just said who to write to, when to write. Fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
But the one that I wrote to, and the ones that I wrote by myself, I forwarded them all onto you. Yeah. And didn't you? And you said, "Oh, maybe don't put this bit in and just tweak that bit." So you were always there, to just sort of go over my drafts and just say.
I'm not looking for a pat on the back, Elizabeth. What I want people to more learn from the our discussion is the fact that you're a complete layman.
Yeah.
And actually took up the challenge, and basically in a very simple process. And to be honest, if you look at it back in hindsight, it's very simple.
Yeah.
All you want to do is get the evidence. I mean, if for example, you're a complete drunken fucking fool.
Yeah.
You're obviously guilty of whatever they allege you of. Now, there's obviously mitigating circumstances you can present. But in your case, you wasn't a complete drunken fool. Yeah. But they were charging you as if you were a complete drunken fool, which is unreasonable and unfair.
Absolutely.
Now, okay, so Elizabeth, what are you doing moving forward? Because I know you've turned into like a semi sort of activist or something. So what are you up to? I've got I've got 5 minutes, if that.
Oh, well, not as much as I want to be, because I'm working full time now at the minute. But I'll always be around to sort of help people, with you forwarding emails on and stuff. I've always got time to do that. But yeah, I think going to court and seeing that system, how corrupt it is just opened my eyes to.
What makes you think it's corrupt, though?
Yeah, well, a lot of other things, and just think, if you can't trust the police, and when you realise there is no justice, it makes you question a whole lot of other things.
Yeah, and because obviously you've not been to court before.
No.
And police corruption, because funny enough, I was listening to a lady in my case where I recently had an involvement with the police about harassment.
Yeah.
She said to me she's never had any involvement with the police in her entire life, and then the moment she gets involved with the police, she just ends up in a very, very peculiar position which she never expected. And do you feel the same sort of thing in your life?
Not at the moment, but I'm wary now of the police. I'm really wary.
So you're nervous?
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
obviously makes you feel unhappy, really, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay. So moving
I will
forward then,
kind of,
so what? Because I understand you and Dee are very busy, trying to do and helping other people, which is great for me.
yeah,
Because that's what all I want to do is to push people to empower themselves,
yeah,
and you've certainly, I know at least three people that I forward you information on. You've helped me.
yeah,
I know that much.
yeah.
And it is. I mean, what could you, just in closing? Because, like I say, it's got a couple of minutes left. Elizabeth, what could you say to someone that's facing something similar to that you faced?
Just have the confidence to know that you can do it, and don't be frightened or intimidated by this corrupt system, because it is. We have to fight it, and it's through little steps like this, a fairly simple drunk and disorderly charge. But this is where we start fighting back. If we start standing up for ourselves from grassroots, from the bottom, then they're going to have to think twice about all the other shit that they're putting people through, aren't they? If we just stand up for ourselves, support each other, I think that's basically it.
All right. I appreciate your time, Elizabeth. I'm just going to.
My pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's good. Like I say, I'm really, really pleased that the outcome you got, and also the fact that you've managed to help other people on the back of what our discussion was, and how I've helped you, which is basically what I want.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's like it's just like a system, isn't it? They've got their little bit of routine, what they do, and if you know how to work it, and then you learn more as well by teaching people. That's the best.
Well, it's not even working it. I mean, as you've rightly done, which is great, to be honest, which I knew you did actually. I remember you telling me, is by sitting in the magistrates' court, you see how I don't like corrupt fraud or anything like that. I don't like that, but how disturbing people. They actually, I think they get into the mentality. They actually think they're guilty even though they're not.
It's like when you see a copy, you feel guilty.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
exactly right. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna finish there. And 1 second, bear with me.